Hey, it's Marshall Tingle with Superior Ag Insurance Ringside Report for this past week, the week of March 7th through the 12th. So we might have spoke a little bit too early last week. We kind of got bragging about the warm weather and then just a little bit of mud, but it looked like the market had kind of gone up. Well, spoke too soon. Guess what's back? The snow came in over the weekend, the mud is back, and it brought more mud with it just because it liked to party. Now, guess what else is also back? A slight decline in your market. So let's talk about that real fast. So your runs across the state of Kentucky were drastically lower this week than we'd seen. Some markets actually saw as much as 1,000 head back from what they did this time last year. So your feeder cattle market, your steer cattle, they call them $1 to $3 back. That's pretty much across the board at every market that I looked at. And then your heifer cattle this week was pretty much the same at $2 to $4 back on them. Now, the biggest decrease that we're still continuing to see is on your heavier cattle, your 8-weight cattle and up, 7s, 8s, 9s, and 1,000-weight cattle. And I think we've just got the perfect storm going on like we've been talking about. You've got your feedlots are already running at max capacity. You've got grain at astronomical prices for your feed input cost on these cattle. And then I think the biggest influence right now is just straight up your fuel prices. This Russia-Ukraine deal is having an astronomical effect on your fuel prices. You know what it's worth at the pump, and everybody that I talk to as far as trucking's costing on these cattle, you're looking at $4.50, $4.75, $5, and even maybe $5 plus, just depending on where you're hauling to and from. And that's having a huge impact on these bigger cattle. But now, your light cattle, it says $1 to $3 lower, but as far as if you look at the whole picture, these lightweight grass turnout cattle are still trading extremely well, just a little bit back from what they have been. Let's take a little bit closer look. So your 3-weight steer cattle this week, you're looking at $1.80 to $2, topping out somewhere around that $2.17.5 mark. Your 4-weight steer cattle this week, $1.75 to $1.90. Topping out about $2.05, and then your 5-weight cattle this week, $1.60 to $1.80. And then once you go on from there, like I said, you're seeing a bigger decrease. Last week we did see some 8-weight cattle in the $1.50 range, a little bit over. This week, not so much. I think everybody is kind of ride this storm out and see what's going on before they bring their big 8-weight cattle to town. But I do have a few examples I want to look at here, and I want to compare them to your CME feeder cattle index real fast. So here we go. Start them off here. Here's 40 head of black steers, 814 pounds on the average, 143 flat. Here's another set of them, 59 head of these steers, 869 pounds on the average. You're looking at 144 and a quarter. And then here's a little set of them. This isn't a low, but just a big farmer set of them. Here's 23 head of these, 820 pounds on the average at 142 and a quarter. Now, let's compare that to your CME feeder cattle index. Last week, like I said, you were trading right there pretty close on the grand scheme of things. You're back some, but you still saw some $1.58 weights. Of course, this week you just saw that we didn't. Now let's compare that to your CME feeder cattle index for the week. So your CME feeder cattle index for the week, you started off Monday the 7th at 154.11. By the time we got to Tuesday, it dropped down to 153.89. And then by the time we got to Wednesday the 9th, you're looking at 153.06. So it's still declining there that you can see, because like I said, it's based on your cash trade there. But the emphasis that I want to focus on is look at your difference here. That's almost $10 back on Monday. 154.11. The highest we had was 154 and a quarter. That's almost a solid $10 back. That's a huge difference if you ask me. Now, let's talk about how this can affect things and how a livestock risk protection policy could help you. So like I said, a livestock risk protection policy is a really good way to lock in your basis on there and give you a shoot number on what to look for. Like I said, you're not seeing as big of a decrease on these lightweight cattle coming in on your input side of things, but you are seeing it on the backside when you would go to take these cattle to market as 8-weight cattle. So now would be a really good time to invest in a livestock risk protection policy. If you have any questions on that, or you're interested in one, or have any questions about setting a policy up, feel free to reach out to us. It's Ian Thomas, 859-613-2453, or reach out to Damon Reed at 859-200-9188, or check us out on the web, www.superioragins.com, or keep up with us here on social media and Facebook. We'd love to help you out with any of your livestock risk protection needs or any of your ag insurance needs as a whole, but feel free to reach out to us anytime. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.